Welcome to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and I have really an outstanding CEO as my guest. Marie, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Marie Espinoza.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, happy to have you, and all the way from California. Marie Espinoza is the CEO of a great company you're going to hear a lot about called 4Insite. So Marie, as always, I like to start with origin stories. And so where did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school and college?
I'm actually from Fresno, California, so small part of Central Valley. And I went to high school at McLean High School, there in Fresno, California.
Nice. And so, I mean, how did you get into IT? What got you into technology?
I never knew where I was going to go. So after high school, I started working. And I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. My very first job that I got into was in childcare. So I started down that path, and then I thought I was going to go into childcare management and started down that path. And then when I actually got going, and I started thinking about my master's degree, and I wanted to make sure I got a master's degree. Went through my bachelor's program, kind of left it undefined, because I didn't know what I wanted.
Right.
And then went into I figured by the time I got my master's, I'd know exactly what I wanted to do. Didn't happen that way.
Right.
So I left that pretty general. Once I graduated, I started applying for other jobs. I really wanted to go down south. And then I came across this amazing company. And the rest is kind of history. I started in their operations. They were working on this platform.
Now this was SPM, right?
Super exciting for me.
Was this SPM or 4Insite? SPM or?
Yes, it was through SPM.
Okay.
So 4Insite was born out of SPM.
Right.
The CEO of the company is an amazing visionary. And he had this idea to change his business, and how it was operated. Little did he know he was developing something that could change the entire industry, and it just has grown from there. So it's been amazing.
Okay, now so for our audience, so talk about SBM. So what is SBM? What do they do? Where are they? What does that do? And then talk about 4Insite.
Yeah, so SBM is a facilities management company. They're great at what they do. They take on Fortune 500 companies, manage all of the facilities through that, and they've grown organically over time. Like I said, the CEO is a great visionary, so he's been able to make something amazing out of that company. And so they do facilities management pretty much all over the world.
But one of the nice things about the company is it's real focus on the employee, on the grassroots employee, on really trying to make sure that people who join the company are treated with respect. And has that always been the culture of SBM?
Yeah, so it's always been the culture. I think the technology has helped that come out, but it's always been a people-focused business. So he's always said, hey, we're a people business. It's about the people. You're only as successful as the people that you have performing the work and doing the work. So making sure that they had everything that they needed to be successful was the vision behind it. So the tool itself does a lot of work management pieces to help managers and the customers see what's going on. But there's a whole section in the tool that's dedicated to the frontline staff, how they get their work, how they get set up, their job description set up, make sure they have clearly defined goals, they know exactly what's expected of them, so that they can be successful.
So before we get to, because I want to talk about the origin for the audience so they really understand. So the SBM was doing them in major companies, major airlines, airports, Fortune 500 companies. You're doing facilities management for them. SBM has about how many employees?
There's about 10,000 worldwide.
Wow, 10,000 employees worldwide, and so really a global company. And so they're focused on really trying to grow these employees. So how did the software, before we jump to the capability of the software, how did it start? What was the idea to even do the software?
So there was a couple different versions of it. The very first one was more like a website to capture a couple key KPIs, make sure how everyone was doing. So as the company got really big, it became harder and harder to have control and make sure that everything was being done consistently.
Right.
So that was the idea behind the software. If we could put the software in place and measure everybody consistently, then you can see the results from that. And it started with probably 8 features and has grown from there.
So before you go, because so the software. So did the software have training in it when you did the software? You know, what was on the software before you got to the mobile platform?
The very first version of it did not have training.
Okay.
It was mostly capturing key KPIs, complaints, compliments, surveys, managing some of the work. And then it grew from there. The next versions after that grew from there. So
Excellent.
Like I said, the very first version was about 8 features. I think now we have 55 plus.
Wow.
And the growth of that has mostly come out of the people-focused features.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This is I want to go slow on it because this is really, I mean, this is transformational because you know it values, you know, grassroots employees in a way that no other company that I've seen has done that. And so as you begin to develop it, so it started with the website, as they always do, and then you move to this mobile platform. When did 4Insite become a company? You know, how did that you know, what stage in the process did 4Insite come to be a company?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. As we started taking this out and explaining to SBM's customers what we were doing, how we were doing it, how SBM was different, this industry is very much a cost-driven industry. Everyone's looking for the lowest price.
Right.
SBM was different, and so they shouldn't really be compared to the same way that everybody else is doing it, because they're providing so much more. There's so much more value there. So that was a new concept, and so it was very difficult to get people to understand that. So we started showing the software and the platform and talking about what we were doing for employees and why everyone should care. And this was really back in a time where no one really thought it was their issue.
Right.
So now there's a lot more focus on the employee, right? There's a lot more big organizations that are looking at the frontline staff and why they should care. And it, you know, before it was a little bit like, hey, SBM, that's your employee. What you do is your business. And there was only a few that were like really about, hey, yeah, we want the people here to be happy. We want, you know, we see that that provides better service. And now it's starting to flip. Now people are starting to understand, you know, what the CEO seen so long ago. And so from that, we got lots of questions and saying, hey, this is amazing. This is amazing that SBM's doing it, but I need to do it with all of my service providers. I need everybody on this platform. I need to make sure I can measure everyone consistently and force this into the hands of everybody so that I have this universally. And so it was at that point that we realized that, hey, we probably have a product we can take out to market here. So in 2019, we spun out 4Insite, created it as its own company, and have been working that ever since.
And so you've been the first CEO of the company?
Yeah, technically my title is president.
As president, okay.
So I am, yes, the president of 4Insite and the first president of 4Insite, correct.
Well, but and we'll get to that. But I mean, that's incredibly. You know, there are not a lot of women that are presidents of an up and coming technology company. So again, congratulations. I mean, that's a really big deal. And
Thank you. Super blessed to have the opportunities I've had, and super thankful to Charles specifically for believing in me and believing that I could do this.
And the CEO of SBM is Charles
Summers.
Charles Summers.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. And so you know, Lizette Delgado, who works for SBM and partners with you, was the first to introduce me to the software. And again, audience, I'm telling you, it's really revolutionary because it allows communication. We'll talk about how many different languages is there, the training, the other stuff. We'll get kind of granular into that. But it is, I think it's a game changer, not just in the facilities management or the grassroots, but really every company, because the world is becoming more people up. I've said this on my show before. It's not just the top down is really dying. This idea that the people in the boardroom know everything is going the way of the dodo bird. And companies are going to have to empower the people at the grassroots if they're going to be successful and beat their competitors. And that's what you're doing. So So when you took over the company, where was it? Where was it in its development of the software? And kind of, where has it come since when you first started?
Yeah. So when I took it over in 2019 and we decided it was going to be a product company, we actually had to make a decision to rebuild the entire platform.
Wow.
It was very much built for SBM, which was the goal when it was built. It was SBM, very SBM centric. And so we decided we were going to start over. We were going to build it in more scalable software. We were going to take what we learned and expand on that. So we took it down to the bare bones and rebuilt it completely.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so now you built a team around you that software engineers, et cetera, to really kind of deconstruct it and kind of build this system. And I noticed that there are a number of talented women working around you. So it's a very diverse technology company. Yep.
So one of the first things that we did was we brought in a CTO. His name is Mike Brown, and he was really the brains behind the technology part of it. So him and I partnered. We worked closely with Charles on the ideas and the vision, and it was the three of us. And from there, we've just grown it over to have a team. We at 4Insite now, we probably employ about 55 people.
Wow.
And really, we're just looking for the best people to do the job that have this entrepreneurial mindset, right? Where we're at, it's confusing to some people because they think, hey, you came out of SBM. SBM's a pretty big company. You must be a pretty big established company. But we're very much like a startup on the 4Insite side.
Right.
So we have to have a startup mindset. We have to be mindful of where we're spending, how quickly we grow, how we can scale. All of those things are important. So we have to think a little bit differently here. So we're always looking for people that have that same mindset, that are hungry for something new, something different. It doesn't exist out there, so we don't really have something that we can go out and reference, right? This is all new. It's new to an industry that's never seen it before. So even something as simple as marketing has been a bit of a challenge because we're showing people something that they've never seen before. So we have to show them that it works, convince them that it works, and then let them see the results of that. So all of that takes time.
Well, again, and that's why I do the show Entrepreneur State of Mind, is because people realize that smart CEOs like you, smart presidents like you, realize that you want employees that have an entrepreneur state of mind. You want employees with the what I call the E mindset, that are willing, that are innovative, that are trying to do things. And companies, more and more companies are looking for people who have that mindset. So I'm so glad that you said that. So let's begin talking about some of the features of this. And so as you started developing it, what was the first thing that you did? You did training, right? Training.
So training was a big piece of what we did, and it's a huge module. And the most important part of that was not just taking training. There's lots of training platforms out there, but none that really cater to the frontline staff. What we did was we made sure that the trainings were short. They were things that they could do in a couple minutes at a time to make sure that we were keeping people's attention, right? No one wants to sit down and take a 2-hour course, especially when you think about the frontline staff that we're dealing with. They're busy, they're thinking about all the things they have to do today, and then you're going to go throw training at them. They don't have an hour to give up. It's going to stress them out. They just they have to get their work done, right? They come to work and they want to get their work done. So we made the trainings very short.
Let me stop you there, because that's really, really important. We're going to actually take a 2-minute commercial break, and then we're going to come back and really talk about that training. I just think it's brilliant that you were smart enough to really break it down into digestible bites of information for the frontline workers. So again, this is Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell. We will be back after a short commercial break.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, with Marie, who's the president of 4Insite. We were just talking about the training platform that they've developed to really help frontline workers be the best that they can be at their job. And so, how did you come up with the idea of having just 1 or 2 minute bits of training? Was that something you guys thought of from the beginning, or did that evolve over time?
It evolved over time. So the training started like most companies do it. You would gather everyone. So I started in the operations side of SBM. So I have a lot of knowledge of what happened in the facilities, how it worked, because I ran a facility for SBM. But we would pull everybody into a room. We'd have to schedule their shifts, make sure that everybody could take that time. Therefore, no one was on the floor actually doing the work during that time. And so we would do it, and we started with hour-long trainings because originally the thought was like, let's just get it over with. If we get everybody scheduled, it's so hard to get everybody scheduled. Let's just go ahead and get it over with, right? And people just weren't retaining it. They were afraid to ask questions. It was such a large group. And so then we cut it down to more 30-minute sessions, but that wasn't helpful either. The other problem, and what most people don't realize, is that we also had to solve the language barrier. So every time we had to do these trainings, if they didn't speak English, we had to have translators in all the different languages.
Right.
So SBM actually secured an account up in Redmond. And when they did, the whole training concept went out the window because there was 18 different languages that were spoken there across 400 staff members. So are you really going to try to get everyone together and try and get 18 different translators? So what we did was, as we were able to put this training content digital, and we were able to solve the translation issue because now they get bite-sized pieces in their preferred language. We were able to give it to them. But more importantly, as we gave them the mobile devices, think about it. If you're in a classroom, there's, 400 other people, you're scared to raise your hand. You're scared to say, hey, I didn't quite grasp that. Can you rewind? And now everybody's like, oh man, that person didn't get it, right? Well, now they have it in the palm of their hands. They can watch it over and over again. They don't have to be embarrassed if they have to there's a short little quiz at the end, and it's not meant to fail. It'll recycle through the questions because we want them to retain the information. It's not meant to be punitive, right? So they can do that now all in the palm of their hands without being embarrassed, without feeling like they're going to be reprimanded by their manager, like they don't know what they're doing. And then you remember all this, and maybe you don't do a certain section. Maybe I only do elevator cleaning like once every 6 months. And so I want a refresher when I want to do that. So all of those things were huge factors in why we knew this was the right way to do it.
And you provide the phones too, or SBM provided phones to the frontline workers.
SBM, yes, being, the entrepreneurial type, forward-thinking company that they are, yes, they provide phones. It's unlimited data plans that they're giving these employees. So it was a huge piece of helping break through the digital divide for all of the frontline staff, giving them technology, putting it in their hands, allowing them to have a hotspot. So we all know the kids at home are playing with the phone and they're online. And so it was such a huge piece of being able to do that. And then if fast forward a couple of years, we all get hit by this pandemic, right? And everybody is struggling, not sure what to do. Well, SBM was more prepared than anyone. You now have these trainings. We were able to kick out trainings. The pandemic hit within, a week and a half. We were able to start sending out training to employees without having to get everyone together. You couldn't get everyone together, right? when everything really started to close down, managers were not even on site. It was only just the essential staff that had to be there.
Right.
And we were able to get them training information on how to properly wear a mask, what to do in COVID situations, what happens if you're exposed. Everybody was armed with that immediately without any contact with anyone else,
Right.
because they had the devices, they had the platform, and everything is in real time. So we could just push it out to them, schedule them a new training, they get an alert, you have this new training, it's super important, and they can take it. And even the staff that was at home was able to still, there was companies that worked with SBM, and still pay them to make sure that they were doing the ongoing training, so that when they came
Right.
back, they were still prepared, they had all the information, and they didn't have to catch up. So it was
Right.
amazing to be prepared for something that it felt like the whole world was not ready for. And it was just one small piece of how we could contribute to that, to make sure that those essential workers were taken care of. So it was amazing to see.
Wow, that's well said, and putting people first. And I often say, because of computers and other things, people become more important than ever. And so you really do that. And what a great story, what a great model. And so now you're looking to, the platform has been fully developed. I'm sure you're tweaking it all the time and getting different beta versions. What kind of customers are you looking for this software? Who are you talking to about utilizing the 4Insite innovative software?
So, because it originally came out of SBM, companies that are similar to SBM naturally will fit the mold of it.
Right,
But
right.
when we decided to rebuild it, we had this motto of any service by any provider anywhere. So anyone that's providing a service, anyone that has staff that they have to manage, anyone that has to get some documented scope of work, regardless of what it is, or provide some service, will benefit from using the software. And then on top of that, even if you just wanted to do people management, this training system, making sure people had clear job descriptions,
Right,
they knew
right.
what they were going to do, getting information out to them. There's a whole communication platform involved in this, and how you communicate. So really, we've tried to make it as agnostic as possible to be able to be used by anyone that really wants to manage their work and their staff. And that's our goal. That's our
How
target.
few employees? What's the minimum number of employees a company would need to take advantage of the 4Insite product?
We don't have a minimum number of employees. We're working with some smaller sites that are just interested in trying to bring technology on, and then we got some really large customers that we're working with to bring it on. So it scales across all of that, and we made sure that we could support all of those different initiatives.
Wow, that's great. And so I know some of the you're talking to public schools, you're talking to hospitals. Are you talking to hospitals as well?
Correct. And universities. So
Universities?
SBM is a company that provides this service for other companies. One thing that we've realized through this journey is there's a lot of companies out there that have to self-perform, either because they have union employees, or there's mandates at the company that says those employees have to be their companies. They're the ones that will benefit from this tremendously, because the software helps put a process in place. It's not, most likely managing facilities is not their core competency, right? They have some other focus that they want to focus on, but they're forced to do it. So those are the companies we feel like are going to benefit the most, because now we can give them the software, we can help them manage it, we can help them understand it, and get all of the work done in a way that they can manage it without it impacting what their core competency is or what their day-to-day focus is.
Wonderful. And so as you are looking, are there other products you're looking at possibly morphing this into, or really kind of build this product so it can service more different companies?
Yeah, so we're always open to opportunities. We look for other systems that we can integrate with. We integrate with a lot of back office systems that companies have, typically work order systems. mostly big companies usually have a work order system in place. And so it has tentacles all over the organization. So there's a tendency to not want to pull that out because they're not they're not sure exactly where it touches.
Right,
so what we'll
right.
do is we'll integrate with it. We can integrate with it. We can pass information back and forth using APIs or other integration methods so that we don't have to pull that system out, but they can still benefit from all of the things that 4Insite offers.
That really is fantastic. And so one of the things, too, I want to cycle back, but I think it's important for the audience to know is that, you know, you don't have a coding or programming background. And so by utilizing your entrepreneur state of mind, you've been able to be the president of this major company. And so there's hope for everyone. You don't have to be the technical expert to be the outstanding president. Say something about that. Talk to the audience about the opportunities.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm probably the most proud about. I don't have a technology background. I'm not an engineer by trade. I don't code. Everything that I've really learned about software and building software has been through this process. So I tell people all the time, it's about what you want to put into it. If you have the passion and the entrepreneurial mindset to make something happen, you can. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter who told you no, it couldn't happen. You know, I have come from a place where, you know, I was the first one to get a graduate degree in my family. I'm a female, I'm Hispanic, right? All of those things are all of the reasons why this wasn't supposed to be my path, right? And people have told me this wasn't my path. And I've had plenty of obstacles. By no means is it ever going to be easy for anyone, but it's about you just taking that and using that to push you forward, propel you forward. And that's really how all of this has been done. So you can do it. All I can say is for all of those out there, you can do it. It's, you know, get knocked down, get back up.
Well, and that's great. That's great news. But the foundation of all of this is obviously the work ethic and the entrepreneurial state of mind. This idea that that if you work hard enough and you're innovative enough, that you can come up with new ideas. What have been some of the challenges that you've faced? What keeps you up at night now?
I will say, because I didn't have a engineering background, I did spend a lot of time questioning myself. Would I know what it takes? Would I know how to find the right people? Would I understand if, you know, something could have been done better or faster or those types of things? So those keep me up, or used to keep me up at night. But then I just learned. I asked the questions. I got into it. I started to understand what data modeling was. And all of those things. So it's just a matter of doing the research, understanding it, living it day in and day out. It's not something you can just phone in, right? You have to be a part of it. You have to ingrain yourself in it, and you have to go learn everything that it takes to be able to do that. And that's what I did. That's how I was able to overcome it.
Well, Marie, you know, these things go very quickly. We're at the end of the time of the show. I mean, clearly being a lifelong learner is the other piece of this, just having a passion for learning something new. You clearly have that. You've been doing a great job. It's been wonderful getting to know you over the last few months, and I wish you the best of luck. And I want to thank the audience for watching Entrepreneur State of Mind. We will see you next week. Marie, take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.